Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. I'm going to be reviewing for you episode 2 of the Endgame. Let's talk about this episode. Okay, so we're at episode 2. This episode is titled Fairytale Wedding. Now, if you recall at the end of the last episode, we found out that Val Turner's husband was actually in prison with Elena Fedorov's husband, Sergei. That was a bit of a shock because obviously we believed that husband had been killed, but that's not the case. He's in prison with her. So this episode deals with Elena Fedorova taking on the Homeland Secretary. This is where we find out stuff about her. We find that her son gets kidnapped. This has obviously all been planned by Elena. And while this is going on, we've got events occurring in one of the banks, bank number 2. This being that the bank manager starts having what seems to be a cardiac arrest, a heart attack, and all this sort of a thing. So these two storylines are sort of playing out at the same time. And the FBI want to get him out for medical reasons. Only with him, it turns out that it's not actually a cardiac arrest. He's had something put onto him and he's being used as a way of smuggling information out of the bank, because the bank has like a server farm and there's all stuff held on it, video recordings and this sort of stuff, and one of the video recordings that they are after, which ends up in the hands of Val Turner, and this was always the plan, is video footage of the Homeland Secretary with the leader of the Veracruz cartel that she's made dealings with and is being paid off by, so that she can give them information on routes of Coast Guard and all this sort of thing for them to smuggle stuff into the country and all this sort of drugs into the country and all this sort of thing. So this is the takedown of that character also. Now the episode does have flashbacks in it, where we get to see Elena and Sergei's wedding day, the lead up to their wedding day, and there's a bomb planted in the church that explodes and kills everyone, the entire family, with the exception of these two individuals, obviously, because they're in the current timeline. And this sort of leads into questions as to why Elena's doing what she's doing, and it's possibly that something's gone on from the Americans that has caused this to happen, and only time will tell. Obviously, we find out that Sergei, Elena and Val Turner's husband have all had dealings in the past. That the photo comes to light, it was taken several years ago, of the three of them sat around a table. So this opens a door for more intrigue and questions. So yeah, you know, the whole program is giving you stuff, but it's also giving you loads of questions, and that opens the door to a lot of intrigue and fascination as to what is actually going on, and obviously what their end game is, being that that's the title of the show. What is Elena's end game? At the end of the episode, we do see that Elena is actually in touch with Sergei, shall we say. He's got a burner phone in prison with him, and when he's typing it through, this is actually making a little light blink that she's able to see on a console up through the window where she's being held. Obviously it's Morse code and she's reading it, so there's stuff going on. She's also had brought into her new clothing, a trunk that was put into Val Turner's car at some point, that we, cause everyone's being watched. This plan is bigger and broader. Elena has her fingers in everything and everyone, and she's a tacticianist, and she's planned all this stuff out. It's all going in her favour. But what we see is that she's now got her earrings and she's got her brooch that was given to her by her sort of adoptive mother before the explosion in the church. There's going to be something to come into play with those. They're a sort of smoking gun or a Chekhov's gun, shall we say, where that's not for nothing, that stuff that she's wearing. That will be some way of communicating or some such. But time will tell. Maybe wrong, maybe just be picking at straws and seeing things that are there that aren't actually there. But yes, so you know, it was a fantastic episode. It was a very strong episode. The characters, Morena Baccarin, and the character plays the actress plays Val Turner, very strong. They've got a good support cast around them, and like I said, the program is giving you more questions than answers at this moment in time, which is a good thing, because it leads you down that path of wanting to know what's going on and wanting to come back week after week to see what's going on. All I could say is that the character of Elena is ruthless. She's cold, but she doesn't come across as that. But we see it in the kidnapping of the Homeland Secretary's son and the fact that he's tied with a bomb. Now, I didn't know whether that was going to be a real bomb or not, but it was a real bomb that would have killed the son and killed anyone there in the room with him, because it was a device that spat out loads of metal shards. So yeah, so it was, you know, so you see her callousness in acts like that, you know, she doesn't care if she does take people down. But yeah, so that's, you know, really good character development for her, because cold, calculating, but there's a warmth about her as well. She isn't, yeah, it's hard to describe. She's not a nasty individual, comes across that way. She's smart and imposing, but yet there is that, in her actions, there's this callousness and this coldness. And it just makes for an interesting character dynamic. Obviously, we have to see where the program is going, because there's always another level. Yep. But yeah, so very good, very good. That's it. I'll be back next week with my thoughts on episode 3. Why don't you let me know your thoughts on this episode down below. Let me know where you perceive the show to be going, what you think's going to go on, what you think's going to happen, whether you think it's any good or isn't any good, all this sort of stuff, and let's have a nice conversation about it, get that dialogue going. That'd be great. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button and notification bell also. Anyway, this is AJ, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care all, goodbye.